podcast and take this walk with me.
Welcome back to the Three Parallels podcast with your host, the Brother Dr. Jason Branch, where we rediscover who we were, embrace who we are, and make room for who we're trying to become. That is you. You are in the right place at the right time because we are coming to you live from where? Battlecast Studios. And Battlecast Studios happen to be at the Lombardi Winery. We doing it, y'all. We doing it big over here. And on today's show, the guest I have today is who I talked about in the past. I never shared a name. I think I gave an alias, but it was from the Monday Standard. It was from the opportunity that I had that changed my whole life because I'm still crying to this day from what happened to me at this event. And this brother that I'm bringing to the show is a mogul to me. He is an ambassador. He's an advocate. He's an ally. He's a business person. He is a winemaker. He is a luxury brand builder. He is a marketing genius. This brother here is bad. I'm talking about like Michael Jackson bad, okay? This brother is so bad because he has humility and authenticity. And at the Standard, I met a lot of different people. We had a lot of different wines, had a lot of different fun. But this guy, he leaned in and poured into me like we've known each other for years. I was a stranger, but I felt like a brother before I left that day. And it's because of this man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the one, the only, Tony Lombardi. Welcome to the show, baby.
Oh, man, what an entry. You know, I mean, everybody should get that kind of entrance. What an intro.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm here, man. I'm excited.
Well, hello, my name is Tony Lombardi. I'll be your host this evening.
Let's go.
You know, in this world, right, I am so lucky. I'm grateful. I'm thankful. I'm all the things. You know, this world of wine has exposed me to some of the most amazing people and experiences and places that I never thought possible. And that is what's meaningful to me. It's the stories that are behind all those things, those tangible things, but it's really, I mean, I get to do some crazy look at where we are today.
Come on.
Look at my background. We're in the Petaluma Gap, baby. Look at that fog that comes off the Pacific Ocean that just rolls over these vineyards and vines and creates this blanket of fog and coolness for that Lombardi Shardy and some Pinot Noir. I love it. Let's get after it.
Let's go. So first question, because we're talking about three parallels, who we were, who we are becoming. And I got to meet the man that you are now, which is a legend. You know, you're a legend. And it didn't just happen overnight. I'm sure there was a story. So I'm curious to go back to your old self, who you used to be, and how did you get in this business? How did you grow to become who you are right now?
Yeah, God, everybody's got this journey, right? In this life that we lead, and the, you know, someone once told me, you know, life's not a straight line, and there's no truer thing than that. And I grew up in Sonoma County. This is home for me. This is where my family has been on the Lombardi side since the 40s. And of all places, Petaluma, where I live now, and I've been here with my wife and two boys for 35 years, 33 years. And so to live in a place, a community of agriculture, you know, it's what's behind me right now. This area of Sonoma County that is so fruitful, right? And it has these things like, so Petaluma being butter and egg, dairy farms, chicken ranches. I grew up in a town called Sebastopol, which is just 20 minutes from here. And that is apple country. So Gravenstein apples and now all those heirloom heritage orchards are now producing grapes, world-class grapes. And you go further north into Healdsburg in the Russian River Valley, and you get this old agricultural product of plums and prunes, and going further into Lake County, and you've got pears. And so anyway, it's such a bounty in Sonoma County. See how I did that? You know, with the proximity to the ocean and the redwoods and the river that runs through it. And, you know, in 2.5 hours, I can be skiing the slopes of Lake Tahoe. I mean, it's just such a great place to live and thrive. And I feel fortunate to be a fourth generation here, and now, seeing my boys flourish. My oldest, Drew, just graduated Cal Poly a couple of years ago with a
Mm-hmm.
degree in wine and viticulture, and now traveling the world and making wine in New Zealand and France and
Mm.
Burgundy. He's now at my old, stomping grounds, Costa Brown
Yeah.
Winery in Sebastopol, where I grew up, and to see him and that next generation, that legacy kind of carry forth, and so wine has always kind of been in my background. When I mentioned
Mm-hmm.
my history and my family, big Italian family, Sunday night dinners with all my relatives, my great grandfather, and all my aunts and uncles, and my parents, and my siblings and cousins. Wine was always part of the table. Well,
Mm.
wine is conversation. Wine
Yes.
is what extends and lingers and creates, these memorable and indelible experiences. And look how it brought us together. I mean, the
Absolutely.
Monday Standard, we
Absolutely.
can get into it. Uh, it it is those occasions that are memorable, and it's the people you're with,
Mm.
and the
Yeah.
wine that you're sharing, and the stories that come from it. I don't know where
Yeah.
I went. Where
Yeah.
did I
Yeah.
go?
This is where we supposed to go. Where it's supposed to go. So being surrounded by it, like fourth generation, and like this has been a family tradition. I'm sure that there's, everybody. This is my assumption that everybody doesn't have that same passion, desire, or love because you're inundated with it. So I'm curious to know, like, what made you decide, like, this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go, versus, you know what, I don't have to do this, I could do something else. But it's
Yeah.
you chose to keep this family tradition going. Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So, I guess it all starts to, like, I knew what I didn't want to do.
Oh, you,
And
oh, you,
so
you got to tell us
I,
about that. You got to tell us about
yeah,
that.
but out of that is, where I met my wife, so
Mm,
I was a store manager for Safeway in Marin and San Francisco for 10 years. And it was during that time between, my best 2 years of college at San Diego State. And and then, going back to school and fulfilling a promise to finish my education at St. Mary's, and, God is a Gale. So,
mm,
to finish my degree there, but really taking that leap of faith and that risk and jumping into the unknown, even though wine, again, has always been a part of Sonoma County and I grew up around it, I, I didn't know it as intimate. And so we're talking about mid to late 90s, and my wife and I bought a house, quit my job, and I said, "Listen, I got this offer to join this group up in the Alexander Valley called Clos du Bois, all the
mhm.
French you need to know." And jumped into the hospitality there, and then moved up into the parent company of Allied Domecq, and I never looked back.
Wow.
So I jumped into this world of wine, and this is now almost 30 years. And
Wow.
and what I've realized is when you love what you do, and
Mhm.
again, I talked about the experiences and the places and the people. Um, I haven't had a job in 30 years. Uh, it it has afforded me those experiences, again, back to being a place of gratefulness, that I it's been a wonderful journey. And so jumping into the world of wine and learning and experiencing, and those experiences within public relations and marketing and sales with these global wine and spirits companies that I was working with, and the exposure to not just the wines of Sonoma County and Napa Valley, but wines all over the world. I had a
Mm.
portfolio of international. So I had Spain and Portugal and France. I had Argentina, New Zealand, and Australia. I had 5 continents and 27 brands all over the world, and getting to visit, again, touch, taste, feel, experience culture, all through wine, right? And
Mhm.
that exposed me and opened up my eyes to such an amazing thing. And then to come back uh, into my own, Sonoma County and start something. I didn't think of starting my own business. I always thought
Mm-hmm.
I was going to work for somebody. That's all I ever knew.
Yeah.
And so to
Yeah.
trade those jobs, whether it was mergers and acquisitions that took me through different journeys in wine and companies, I realized, and I'll always pay homage to a couple knuckleheads from a restaurant, Dan Costa and Michael Brown, uh, that started something from nothing too.
Yeah.
They
Mm-hmm.
started with a couple barrels of wine, and uh, out of John Ash, the culinary master in Sonoma County in the 80s and 90s, and here they were working on the floor or in the kitchen, and they decided to jump into wine. Well,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm working with them,
Mm-hmm.
in 2010 to 15, and they instilled something in me that I think I already had, and that was
Mm.
entrepreneurship, right? So
Oh,
being an
wait.
entrepreneur, and again, back to risk. Well, I took a risk jumping into this industry,
Yeah.
but I had that entrepreneurial and kind of sole proprietor in my family. My grandparents had retail clothing stores and markets and restaurants. My dad um, had a also a retail clothing store, travel agency. So they had businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and they started them or acquired them and ran them. And so these two guys said, "Listen, you should." We did, and here I am working for them
Wow. Wow.
and promoting the world and the love of Costa Brown wines. And I started my very first vintage, which was a barrel of Chardonnay and a barrel of Pinot, while at Costa Brown Winery. And
Wow.
so that was the 13 vintage. And fast forward, I make 7 different wines. I make 4 different Chardonnay, or 4 different Pinot Noirs, 3 different Chardonnays, single vineyards among them, and I've worked with over a dozen growers that I know and are friends with in the Russian River Valley and the Petaluma Gap, um, and so to start that business will also encourage me to start my marketing company, which
Mm.
was turning all these job offers into projects, because
Mm.
everybody needs a little help. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
part that I love to do, is be a storyteller and
Uh-huh.
telling people's stories and working with small family wine businesses that you know make the one rule. It's got to be delicious wine, and they make amazing wines, and their stories, their families, and I get the opportunity to work with them and help build their brands across the country. And I've probably worked with about 30 different wine brands now in about 10
Wow.
years, and I love that work, and I get to do it with my own brand as well, and get to leverage and collaborate and partner, and um, God, I could go on forever.
Yeah,
I love what I do.
this is why we're here. This is why we're here, Tony, because you're giving the listeners, you're giving people permission to consider things differently. And that's what I love about this,
Yeah,
because your excitement, your tenacity, like for you to do this for 30 plus years and still love it, still excited, still get giddy talking about it. Like I
yeah,
want everybody to live life like that. That's how I live as well. And I ain't even did the wine. I ain't even talking about wine. You know what I'm saying? I'm
yeah,
doing therapy, podcasting, teaching, but that love of what you do, and especially to be good at it and know that you're making a difference and you make an impact. So I am curious because a couple things came up, and please know this is the place where you can just be you, and you're doing that. I love it. There was a transition that happened where you went from employee to employer. You went from working for someone to working for yourself. That's a huge gap. And a lot of people, they may have that feeling of entrepreneurial spirit, but the fear prevents them from doing it. You decided to leave safe, I mean, no pun intended, Safeway. You decided to leave the Safeway and go this different way. What was that thing that pulled you to decide, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to try this? And then not only that, to go further to make it your own, doing the
yeah.
marketing and branding piece. Tell us more about that journey.
Yeah, it is. I mean, everybody has it inside themselves, and to your point, it's whether or not they do take that or flip that switch, right? Or take that leap. Uh, there is fear, there's trepidation, that risk, but with risk comes reward too.
Mm,
And you may not know it, you may not feel it, and you feel the comfort or the security of, or maybe of having a job and an employer, and that's okay too, because if you love what you do, then
that's
that's
big.
not work either.
Yeah, yeah.
It's I've been fortunate, this
Hmm.
world of wine and food, uh, and because it was always born in my culture, my Italian heritage, that
Hmm.
it was always about table and fellowship. It was always about that. And
Hmm.
when you share a bottle of wine and a glass of wine with
Yeah.
people, and the stories that come from it, the conversations, and again, where you are, what you're doing, I mean, that is the stuff that's memorable, right? And so
Hmm.
I guess, you know, I just fell back into something that was comfortable, and
Mm.
it was always there. And from that, it's really about family, and an extension of that is friends. And
Yeah.
so I never knew, I guess I had it inside me until I was in it, until I took that leap. And
Gotcha.
and so for instance, I get the great opportunity through my wines, um, to work in the world of philanthropy, right?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
to support amazing organizations and causes, and people and communities
Uh-huh.
that have need, and worthwhile causes that, through, a donation of my wine and my time, I can make an
Mm.
impact. And those relationships that come out of that, those friendships,
Hmm.
that again is the tangible thing that is near and dear to me. And
Mm.
so going to communities like Raleigh and supporting the Frankie Lemon Foundation, and
Hmm.
going to Atlanta and supporting the High Museum in that community, going to Birmingham and the Tum
Hmm.
Tum Tree Foundation and the children's charities and in that community that are affected by cancer. And
Hmm.
so the cancer, the V Foundation, I mean, all these things in communities around this country, and through wine and food, can raise money, and that
Hmm.
has real impact. And I get to be a part of that
Yeah.
because I can donate my wine, and
Hmm.
and have real again impact on people's lives. Never thought that was possible.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the part, I mean, it gives me goosebumps. I mean, I have a family foundation in Helinski's Hope,
Hmm.
um, where, we lost, my godson and nephew, Tyler Helinski, over 8 years ago now,
Hmm.
to suicide and
Hmm.
suffering in silence. Here's a kid who's full ride scholarship, 5 years up at Washington State University, leading the team, comeback kid, triple overtime over Boise State, carried off the field on their shoulders. You think this kid is on the top of the world, and yet suffering in silence, and couldn't find an avenue to reach out for help. Um, and so from that tragedy, we've created this now legacy in honoring him, but a foundation that supports mental health, assistance and wellness programs for high school kids, university and college student athletes around the country. And so the foundation work is always important to me, helping these worthwhile charities and the communities. And I know I went off on a tangent, but I just that part of this
Hmm.
business, I never thought it existed. And now to
Hmm.
be in it, and to
Yeah.
fuel this and be a part of it, um, I introduce all my winery clients to this as well. And so we go out, we create wine dinners and tastings and auction lots, experiences that raise hundreds, if not millions of dollars,
Hmm.
through our efforts, over the years I've been doing it. and again, back to the relationships, right? I mean, the
Mhm,
friendships
mhm.
that I have are some of my nearest, dearest friends.
Yeah.
And these communities that I go to once, two, three times a year.
Mhm.
So yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know, man.
I love
Look
it.
what I
Tony,
get to do.
I love it, man. I love it. So I am curious, and thank you for sharing all of this. And even with the mental health space, like all the
Yeah,
work that you're doing, and if you think about it,
yeah,
what I hear is the simplicity of a grape,
yeah,
this how minute the grape is, and what you've built
yeah,
from grapes. Like what you're
yeah.
sharing, like this is the big picture, but where it started was a grape, a
That's right.
relationship, And so it makes me think like, man, I'm getting goosebumps because I'm just thinking like how amazing this is that you've been able to create this. And what I'm curious about is I'm sure you know a lot of winemakers, wine owners that do not share the humility, the authenticity that you have. I'm sure you've run into them because you don't have to. When you build something like this, you don't have to be who you are. So how do you maintain this zest of life and just excitement and care and support and love? Like you just want to help, you just want to serve. And you could easily be like, nah, this all mine. F you. Like you could easily do that, but you
Yeah.
chose not to. So what is it about you and where did this come from of I'm here to serve, I'm here to help. Yes, I have it. We're good. I want to make sure everybody's good because everybody don't have that. Where did this come from?
Well, I think it's serving something greater than yourself. I mean,
Woo,
that's you either have it or you
woo.
don't. You can't make this shit up. I
Let's
mean,
go,
it's
Tony. Let's
you it's
go.
it is. And I love the analogy of grape to glass that you just took us through, and it
Mhm,
is. This is an agricultural product, and to think, I mean, here we are, we're past flowering season. We had bud break in March and flowering, and we've got clusters on the vine right now. And we're,
mhm,
you know, we're a few months away from harvest. And so
mhm,
that kind of seasons of the vine. And
mhm.
then, we've got harvest and grapes come off the vineyards and the vineyards and the families and growers we work with, and we take it to the winery and we
Mhm,
process this fruit, right? And
mhm.
then it sits in barrel for a year or so, and then we
Yeah.
bottle. And
Mhm.
after bottling, we release it into the market, right? And
Yeah.
so when I mention, the charities and meaningful projects I support in those communities, and it's because, I help them, it's reciprocal. They turn around and
Mm.
support a guy like me and my
Mhm.
family by
Yeah.
buying my wine. And I
Mm.
think of that and I'm so grateful for that, because I think, you know, that's the tangible thing too. It's like here I'm supporting it, and I do that from the bottom of my heart. I do.
Mhm.
And I'm grateful that I can be in a position to help through
Mhm.
wine. And then they support by buying my wine a couple times a year, and it allows me to grow in those communities, in their circle of friends. uh, it is such a process. uh, it is
Yeah.
it's quite a journey, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know you
Yeah.
got another question.
Yeah. So, with all of this and with all you're doing, all you've done, two things. How do you manage it all? And how do you manage your mental health with
Yeah.
all of this as well?
Is it 5 o'clock? That
So,
glass of
Tony,
wine
so
behind you looks pretty good.
listen,
uh
I ain't playing. Listen, for the listeners, y'all hear it here first, okay? I got the man, the myth, the legend. Lombardi wines, any of them. Get
yeah,
you a case, get you a bottle, get you a glass, go get it. Compliments of us. You got to pay
yeah,
for it though. So,
yeah, yeah.
so
No, it's
how,
great.
how do you
And
manage? How do you balance
it's how
all of
do I
this?
balance it? It does take, I don't I guess I'm just kind of born this way, and that I can kind of manage. I mean, I sometimes I struggle with the prioritization and working through some of the projects, but I put a lot of my client work ahead of my own. And so I think sometimes, well, what if I didn't have all this client work and helping them build their small businesses? what if I did 100% on my own, and what would that look
Mm.
like, you know?
Hmm. Yeah.
But I love that work, and I love telling other people's stories
Hmm.
more than my own sometimes, to a fault. But everybody's got a story to tell, and
Mm.
that's the thing that is, if you just listen, you get the opportunity to really learn from people and
Yeah.
experience and history and life cycle and things that you connect over, like we connected over a meal and some amazing wines.
Oh my
um
God. Oh my
and
God.
and that's the part that is magical. But
Mm.
managing, like anything else, I had a Zoom call this morning with a client who's actually in Nantucket at the Nantucket Wine and Food Festival. I got two clients there with Mike Kobler and Kobler Wines and Sherry Thornsberry and Enumero Wines, and
Mm.
and I love their families. I love their wines, and so managing a little of all of that, and that's my
Mhm.
day.
Yeah.
I'm gearing up for. I just came out of a really um, almost strenuous 6-month travel schedule where
Hmm.
where a lot of us are on the road. We're selling, we're marketing, we're participating in these charity wine auctions and communities from about the end of January to through the end of May. And
Mm.
and for this year in particular, I mixed a lot of personal in there too. So my youngest son, Aiden, uh, just graduated from New Mexico State a couple weeks ago, and he played baseball for them. And
Yeah.
so his senior year, I got to see him play and experience some of his last games, playing, collegiate D1 baseball in the USA Conference against some amazing teams and places throughout the Southeast and Southwest. And 2 weeks ago, I saw him, get 4 hits, 1 hit shy of the cycle, and just a monster home run in Springfield, Missouri against Missouri State, and then collects 7 hits in his season-ending series against Florida International in New Mexico, and graduate, being that student athlete. I had two boys that played college baseball, and a bunch of nephews that played, quarterback at the D1 level, and I've got a niece who's on the European tour playing golf. I mean,
Wow.
so we've
Wow.
got athletes in our family.
Yes.
And I always joke, it's all the Holinsky side. Lombardi's bring them down a little bit, but my wife will love that. But the Holinsky family, and again, back to the mental health work that we do through Holinsky's Hope.org. Some great stuff. I know I worked around your question there,
You're
but
you're good. You're
yeah.
good. You're good.
Um,
Because what you share is really important too. Because this is another layer, and this show is about those
yeah,
layers. The parallels are layers, and the layers that I hear is family.
yeah,
Family over everything, and just
yeah,
being a father, being a husband, being involved. Like, man, you're doing it. You're
yeah,
like the epitome of a man to me. You know what I mean? Like you're doing it all. You're bouncing all. You're happy. You're successful. The marriage is good. This is my assumption. The marriage is great. The kids are great. Like you're figuring it. You figured life out for you. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah,
now that you got you together, how many other people can I impact, inspire, and help along the way? Like I'm okay. I worked really hard. I got to where I need to be, and now I'm giving it away. I'm giving it to other people, and I commend you for that, man. So here are your flowers on this show. We give those flowers. It means the world to me, and even you making time to be on this show and just share you with the world, with whoever's listening, and that's the world to me. This is the greatest podcast ever to me. So therefore, therefore, it means everything because more often than not, people don't have a chance to connect with people like you. And if it wasn't for the Monday Standard, we wouldn't be here. And that experience, again, from the grape to the experience, couldn't have happened without that. And that's what brings us together. And to me, there's nothing greater than that because it's about us. It's about people. Who else is there? What else is there? You add wine to it, We can't lose. So next piece, because I want to also educate the listeners. So if you could give us a journey, a snapshot of the winemaking process from grape to glass, and we want to be mindful of time because I know we could do this all day. This is a podcast by itself. So what does that look like? Because a lot of people don't have no idea what that's like. A lot of people like I'm proud and blessed. I got a winemaker in my phone now. Like I got a winemaker. Like we connected with family. So people don't know the journey that it takes. And you shared a little bit of it. So if you could give us an overview, what does that process look like and who's involved and what's involved?
Yeah, I gave you a little bit of the seasons of the vine, right? And and once we get into harvest and you know, I tell people, the best time to visit, Sonoma County or even wine country is harvest. Some of our best weather, right? So we get those Indian summers and it is, we get those 80-degree days, 80 to 90-degree days and the diurnal shift of nighttime that'll dip into the 40s. And so you'll get that 50-degree shift over time in a day, in a 24-hour cycle. But it's the best time to visit for just that activity, that rush of harvest activity that is happening as grapes are coming off the vine and going into the winery, getting processed, uh, fermenting and then barreling down. And so that whole activity, that flurry of activity that is happening that you could experience and visit when you see us at our wineries, come to taste, have private appointments, and touch, feel, taste those things, those tangible things again. That to see that process, you've got to see it. It's our Super Bowl, right? It's that time of year where there's so many things that can go wrong, and that attention to detail is so important. But having a team, I learned early on. I know a guy knows a guy, and that is one of my. I'm kind of a connector. I'm kind of that guy, and I know the right people that excel in their areas of expertise, and I align myself with those individuals. And so I've been working with my winemaker Cabell Corsi for the length of my Lombardi Wines project, and
Wow.
he was our winemaker and viticulturist at Costa Brown Winery from about 2010, 11, all the way through 13. And I knew right away, brilliant guy. He's in his mid 40s now. Brilliant guy, but has made wine in Europe, and I mean like France and Austria and Germany. Getting his degree in Oregon, making wine at Beaufrere there in the Willamette Valley, getting his graduate degree in New Zealand and making wine there, and Australia and New Zealand, and then coming to California where he was making wine with Dumal Winery, and we hired him at Costa Brown at that time. And just a really, so again, alignment, right? So we appreciate our palates. We love the same type of wines and style of wines. And so I knew right on I needed this guy to help me make the wines for us and to honor our family's history. And so, I just spoke with him yesterday, and we're talking about, how we're going to set up the 24 vintage and the bottling that we're going to have at the end of June here, and that next vintage, right? That next vintage of wines that will be under the Lombardi label. And so that is kind of that process of grape to glass. And I do, again, come visit, come experience harvest, and to see that, again, that flurry of activity that is occurring in Sonoma County, in Napa Valley, and your favorite producers, and experience, discover, and taste the wines. I'll tell you, one of the greatest compliments I ever get and continue to receive is someone who'll come up to my table and say, I don't like Chardonnay, but this is really good. And so from that, I tell people, don't give up, keep trying, because there is a spectrum, right? And a
Yes.
style
Yes.
of wine that you like, and it's your own, it's
Yes,
subjective.
indeed.
Your
Yes,
taste,
indeed.
your aromatic profile, your palate is unique to you. And
Mm.
that's what the beauty of this is. And if you don't like my wine, you will like a wine. And so, and I love that. And I love that journey for people. I have it too, and
Hmm.
I have the things that I love and enjoy. But what I have most of all is to continue to discover, to continue to explore, to continue to learn.
Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
and so,
Tony, real quick. I
yeah.
kick people off the show for what you're doing right now. I kick people off the show. Okay. You just know that it's so good because there's so many levels and layers to it. If you're paying
It
for the
is.
listeners, if y'all paying attention, Tony is putting you on game.
Yeah.
Tony is teaching you entrepreneurship, business, relationships, systems, process. Man, it's deep if you're paying attention. And I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and your wisdom because this is what 30 years of experience looks like. This is what it looks like. Everybody can't do this. So I'm very thankful because I see it and I see the levels and the layers because you're not talking about one thing. Everything that you've been talking about is multiple layers to it. And different people see different layers. I see all of them.
The spectrum
So
of color, baby.
come on, let's get let's get it. All right, so we finna smash some grapes. We finna move around a little bit, smash some grapes. I got a few questions. That's target. I want us to go somewhere. So
Yeah.
for you, world traveler, you've seen a lot, you've done a lot, you connected with a lot of different types of people for years. I'm curious to know over all these years from Safeway to now, what have you learned about yourself and what have you learned about people?
Well, I guess more than anything, I've realized I am a people person, right? And I'm a listener. And my wife would probably argue that I don't listen. um, but I listen to the tune of I want to understand and I want to hear, like your story. And when you connect again over wine and you have conversations and the connection points through those conversations that resonate, um, means something, right? So, you know, if I tell you my Italian heritage and knowing my great grandfather till I was 18, and hearing those immigration stories of coming to America and where he was from and my honoring him, even in the label behind you is, that arch into the church, the Santa Cristina, Santa Croce in the town of Sassoferrato, where my family is from. That's the entrance to the church of where my family is from. And so hearing those stories and how they resonate, okay, people have similar journeys, right? And so that familiarity and that familia, is important. And whether I'm a Navy brat, so
Mhm.
understanding military service and service of others and service for your country, those things are real and meaningful too. And people have those shared experiences. We mentioned the charities and the work that is so necessary to help, and to have those. I mean, who's not affected by cancer? I lost my father at a young age at cancer. So uh, it's those things that connect people, and over a glass of wine, they reveal themselves,
Ooh,
right? And so
ooh.
I love connecting over conversation with people. And again, the friendships and relationships that are born from that are
Yeah.
genuine, are
Mhm.
authentic. And that stuff is important to me.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned, you know, being a father and being a family person and my love for my wife and two boys. I hope I've pioneered that for them so that there's legacy. They've seen their dad, they've seen their mom, be business professionals, and that they take that on and feel
Mhm.
emboldened and feel
Mhm.
supported,
Yeah.
that there is legacy of generational
Mhm.
and that comfort zone, that they take those risks and those leaps.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
so
Love it.
good
Love it.
stuff,
Love it.
man.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. And for me, like you're a mentor, big brother to me because you figured this thing out or figuring it out. And like you said, it's a spectrum. I got a 3-year-old and 4-year-old. So I'm at the beginning.
You're in it. You're in it.
I'm in it. I'm in it. You're about to be an empty nester and I'm on the other side. But it's like just watching people, learning from people and conversations and being a student. Because that's what I also hear from you. Even at your level, you're still a student. You're still open to
Yes.
learn. You're still open to
Yeah.
to be curious about things. This is not the norm. I need you to know this, okay?
Yeah.
Tony, this is not the norm. All right. This is not the norm. You're accustomed to this because this is you, but this is not the norm in my experience. It's just not. So it just again speaks volumes to who you are, what you do, and the impact, the legacy that you make. So with that, I'm curious, and I do want to give a disclaimer, not related to your family, your wife, or your kids. What would you say is the proudest moment or one of the proudest moments of your life?
Oh gosh.
Yeah. we
Oh,
go we going
um,
there. We going there.
yeah. Well, I mean, you touched on a word that, I mean, curiosity. I mean, I hope people are curious, right? And I hope they they do, again, back to that journey and that discovery of things that are new. I
Mhm.
hope people always have that. And but gosh, proudest moment. What should that be, Christine? My wife and kids, yeah, for sure, are
Yes.
at the top of that. Yeah, yeah, I mentioned it earlier, with Drew and his discovery on his own, right? Because
Mm.
you can't tell your kids what to be, right? Or what to do
Mm.
almost. And he's only known me and my wife to be in the wine business, and um, so I think that comfort in figuring it out on his own uh,
Hmm.
is a proud moment. And then
Yeah.
Aiden, also, wine is going to be in his family in his future too. I mean,
Yeah.
his girlfriend since high school, you know, their family has two wineries in Sonoma Valley, and
Hmm.
so I am confident to say that wine is going to be a part of their future, and
Hmm.
and I and I think that's a proud moment, and that's legacy for us. And all we want is to provide um, security and health and happiness for our children, and I think wine can be a part of that. And
Yes, indeed.
we talked about the philanthropy work and that space of giving, and to things bigger than yourself. And I think
Hmm.
our boys are born from that, and so
Mm.
there's a proud moment there too.
Love it.
They've seen their parents support meaningful causes that are near to us.
Yeah.
Our family's foundation that we already talked about,
Hmm.
they are that, and so I see that as a very, very proud moment.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm also curious to know a unique or interesting fact about you. What's something about Tony that most people don't know?
Those are great questions. We have those questions all the time sometimes, and we forget what the answers are. But one of the when I mentioned I was a Navy brat, right?
Hmm.
So uh, I was born overseas. So
Hmm.
when I tell people that my dad, serving as a naval officer in Vietnam, and his assignments and on a supply ship and an aircraft carrier in the mid to late 60s. I was born in Japan, and
Wow.
so so that's kind of a unique thing that is kind of unique to me and my family and my history. And um, there's an my parents met. Um, on a tragic day in American history. They met him at a memorial at USF and here in San Francisco, and uh, at the university with a memorial for the assassination of JFK, right? So John F. Kennedy,
Wow. Wow.
and so they met at this memorial, and um, at like I said, and at the University of San Francisco, and were married a year later.
Wow.
And
Wow.
so that's kind of a poignant moment in our family's history. But and then my dad's service, and 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 then me being born overseas is kind of the journey where it all started.
Oh
But
man.
yeah,
Yeah, incredible. Again, I'm going to kick you off the show.
Yeah.
because of the layers, because of those layers. You see what I'm saying? Something unique. We went from Japan to San Francisco. Like it's layers because you are such a phenomenal storyteller.
Yeah.
You know, you
Yokosuka Naval Hospital, 1966. Look at me.
the layers are incredible, and I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. So, man, thank you so much for all of this. So, last question, and then
Yes.
I want you to share some things. But the last question is the question I ask every guest here as part of the show. Three parallels: who you were, who you are becoming. So, if you were to describe in one word, or however you want to describe your old self, your current self, your future self, how would you describe those three guys?
The old and the young self, with his kind of his whole world in front of him. Uh, I've known my wife for 35 years, so that's and meeting her at Safeway and with eyes wide open and our lives ahead of us, and that journey. I wouldn't have thought possible this, here we are 35 years later, and where we are, and the boys we've raised, and the risks that we're taking along the way. There's that current self. I'm simply, almost satisfied,
Mm,
like I love what I do. I love again the relationships and friendships I have, and I love the new ones that are coming. And
mm,
and through that table and fellowship of wine and conversation we've talked about, um, all things are possible.
yeah, yeah,
And I love it. I mean, it's back to the Monday standard. When you get
yes,
a
indeed.
good group of like-minded people that share the same values, and the two simple rules are, if you can't bring a wine that you made, and the second one, if you think it's good enough, it's not. Those simple rules are what everybody should live by. And
Facts.
and and the stories that come out of that. Yeah, I'm thankful for my friends. I'm grateful for my family, and in the things that I get to support, and the foundations and organizations I'm a part of.
Hmm.
I have a hard time saying no a lot of times, so I sit on about four boards,
Wow.
both winery association, or foundational work, mental
Hmm.
health included.
Yeah.
Um, I love the giving. I love the
Yeah.
giving part, and giving of your time, and certainly wine.
Yes,
Um,
indeed. Yes,
so
indeed.
I
Yes,
don't know.
indeed.
I feel like it's been an incredible journey, and I'm not done yet.
Yes,
And
indeed.
there's a few more years in me of this.
I love it. I love it. I love it. 100%. So the last thing is life work. On this show, we don't give homework. I don't believe in homework because homework you take home, you do it, never remember it. I believe
Yep.
in life work because life work allows people to pivot where they can change their life. So if you can offer something to the listeners, some life work, it could be a challenge or anything that comes to mind for you, some words of wisdom, advice. What would you share with the listeners?
Um, I guess one of it is like support the things that are near and dear to you, and support the people that matter, and the things that we are in a crazy time right now, right? And we've got, not just diversity, but we've got divisiveness. And
Mm-hmm.
I think at the core, I believe, and I think most people believe, people are good, right? And the things that are near and dear to them, and the things that are meaningful to them, are unique. I think should be kind. I think we should be tolerant. I think those things are, and I'm not a preacher guy, but I think generally back to people are good. And um, and to that point, like, again, support the things that are meaningful, but support the small family wine business, right? Support the guys who started something from nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and make those relationships, and
Mm-hmm.
and and exact out of those relationships, the mutual, feelings and things that you share. And so, um, lombardywines.com. No, I just, again, it's people, man, and be good to people.
Come on, man. Tony, you have been phenomenal, man. I knew we were gonna have a good time. I knew it. I knew it.
Come on, Doc.
I knew it. I knew it. So, man, thank you so much for being here, for your presence, for your stories, for your layers. If people want to get in contact with you, they want to try your wines, they want to come visit, do a tasting. How can people get what you're giving out? Because you're giving it. So, how can people get connected?
Yeah, I mean, you can visit my website, lombardywines.com. I mean, everything's on there. My email, my phone number. Reach out, and people do. You know, I'm actually hosting a group of Pinot lovers today, this afternoon, to taste
Mm,
them through a selection of wines, and in a beautiful spot in downtown Sebastopol, the Barlow,
mhm.
a little wine shop called Region, and coincidentally, it's across the parking lot from where my son Drew is making wine at Costa Brown. Um, but yeah, people can reach out to me really easily. It's again, I have my cell phone on there. I've got my email, Tony@lombardywines.com. And so I'm reachable. And I love that part. So when you reach out to me, you're getting the guy. I mean,
Ah,
it's, you know,
yeah,
I'll take care of you. You want to order a
yes.
few bottles of wine? It's me,
Hey,
so
y'all
it's,
heard it here first. Y'all heard it here first. This is not the norm. Do you know how many people
yeah,
you got to go through to get to the owner, the maker?
that's right. That's right.
He's letting y'all know. Listen, and
Yeah.
now everybody listening, you all now have access. You got
Yeah.
access for now. You got access for now. And this is what it means to be human, in my opinion,
Yeah.
because that's what you're offering. You're offering of yourself. It gets no better than that because you were able to build something that will last a lifetime and beyond for several generations. And to me, that changes the culture, that changes the world, that changes people. And now people have an opportunity to experience what you've created. And I would love for all of my listeners, for all y'all listening, y'all hear it. Lombardi Wines, go get it. Go get you some ASAP, immediately. Because I'm promoting it. I'm supporting it because of the person behind it. The wine does what the wine does. It's the people around it that makes it what it is. So thank you, Tony, for being you, for being amazing, for being a guest on the show. Any final thoughts before we get out of here for today?
Thank you, Jason. I love getting the opportunity to tell my story. And everybody's got one. And
Mhm.
and I love that part of I just shared wine and food brings out the stories of people and family, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. I thank you for the opportunity to be on your show with you, your friendship, brother.
Always, always. Family, family, family. So y'all heard it here first. Y'all heard it from the man, the myth, the legend. He was an idea at first, and now you got the real deal. I'm so proud to share the wines, share what you're doing. And this is us. This is people being people doing the best they can with what they have. And that's exactly what you're doing. And that's exactly who you are. So thank you, man. Love, 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 love. This has been another phenomenal episode of Three Parallels Podcast with your boy, the brother Dr. Jason Branch. The show where we rediscover who we were, embrace who we are, and make room for who we're trying to become. If this episode has done anything for you in any shape, form, or fashion, share it. Give it away. You got a bottle of wine? Give it away or open it up and enjoy with other people. Have a great day, great night, great morning, great life. Peace.
Three parallels. Yeah. Three parallels. Yeah. Three parallels. Three parallel podcast. Come take this walk.